All right, the time is now 6 o'clock, and we'll begin. So let's call to order. And we'll start out by doing a roll call. Kevin?
Commissioner Cosbrook, Committee Member Richardson,
Present.
Committee Member Williams, Committee Member Williams,
Carol?
Vice Chair Lawton,
Present.
and Chair Jarrett.
Present. All right, thank you. We'll move on to next, doing the land acknowledgement. And, okay, all right. So, let's see, land acknowledgement. The city of Cotati recognizes that we're on ancestral lands of the coastal Miwok, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous peoples who have been stewarding and maintaining a relationship of this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationships with indigenous communities, but serves as a gesture of respect to the land we are on. Okay. And then we'll like to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, so if we could all stand. Oh, thank you. All right, we're moving on to number 5, the approval of the minutes. I'd like to ask the committee members if they have any questions for the staff on the minutes from last meeting. None from me? All right. I'd like to open up the floor to any public comments. And on Zoom? Yes, George? Thank you, George. Anybody on Zoom that would like to make a comment? Public
Yes.
comment?
Thank you, Chair Jarrett. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon to make a public comment. The first hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
There was no audio on the last one, and you have no YouTube. Just wanted to let you know. I didn't know what word George said. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom?
No, there are no further hands.
Okay. If not, then I'd like to bring it back to the committee for discussion, if there is any comments or discussion before we move to taking a vote to approve the minutes. Any, no?
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
George, I respect that you wanted us to get that email. I'm not quite sure how we get that, and I'm sure the chief did what he said, but I've never seen your email.
Thank you, thank you. Chief, can you help assist with this? Anybody get it?
Message you sent, which I printed out and looked at. I don't know whether that's the one you're referring to.
It's very possible. Okay, but I'm happy to read it.
I'd like to address the chief on, I believe it's called Flock. Had a firsthand experience with that. Someone very close to me was called at work, instructed to go to a bank, withdraw money, follow instructions, don't contact police, don't contact anybody. And it was very scary. And the only reason this young lady was rescued is because the camera picked her up at South Palo Alto somewhere, and the police were able to hold her and keep her from who knows what. So it was a real good tool to have, and because of that, they were able to locate her. So it was very scary and real. And you never think it's going to happen to anybody you know, but it happens a lot. And I don't know the bottom line, but the other thing I'd like to commend the chief and Damien, a lot of small cities are losing police departments. A lot of police departments are having a hard time recruiting people that want to be police officers. Cotati's very blessed to have a great police department, full staff. I've been doing security for over 40 years for clubs and bars and events. I've worked under many different police departments where you call for help and they don't show up, or their response time is terrible, or they say we're too busy. Cotati has always responded to every call for help, been there, been resourceful, and it's appreciated. And I'm grateful we have a great police department and a very good city manager, so thank you.
Any other comment from committee members before we move to seeking a motion? If not, I'd like,
What's the motion for?
we're gonna, for the approval of the minutes
Oh, the minutes.
from the last meeting.
Second, if nobody's done.
Yeah, I'd like to motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving last meeting's minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion has passed to approve the minutes. Okay, all right. I'd like to take a moment to see if there's any change to the agenda, any action? No change?
No changes to the agenda.
Okay. All right. Then, if not, then we'll move on to public comment. So I'd like to open up the floor to anybody that likes to take a moment to make a public comment. Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you, Chair Jarrett. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Chair Jarrett, there are no hands on Zoom.
Okay. Then we'll move on to topic 8, matters at hand. And that's where I like to give it to Chief Simmons. Is it?
Great, that's correct. All right, I'm on. All right, good evening. So we're gonna pull up hopefully the PowerPoint on our Q3, our third quarter quarterly report for 2025. There it is. All right, so as before, just like with the last few meetings that we had in Q1 and Q2, I'll go over some of the stats and data elements that we have related to police calls for service, and arrests, crime stats, et cetera, and it'll be strikingly similar to the format that we had last time. So next slide. All right, so the calls for service and officer-initiated activity for Q3 in 2025 totaled 3,294. So comparatively, there was 3,088 events in Q2 and 3,248 events in Q1. And last year, around this time, or at least a quarter of last year, was 3,152 events. So we're all pretty much similar in terms of the last year compared to this year in terms of our calls for service and officer-initiated activity. And it's important to note, so this looks like obviously pretty much split down the middle in terms of calls for service versus our officer-initiated activity, proactive activity from our officers. Again, that's pretty much true to form over the last quarters and the year prior as well. Next slide. There's a typo on the staff report, so it says arrests for Q2 in 2025 totaled 117, and it's arrests for Q3 in 2025 totaled 117. So that's just a typo. It should say Q3 on that first sentence. Comparatively, in Q2 there was 138 and 122 in Q1. So and 139 last year at a 1 quarter mark. So again, Q3 for this quarter, 117 arrests. Next slide. Not dissimilar from the last quarter, the top 5 arrest categories in Q3 topped with driving under the influence, then those related to drugs and narcotic, drug equipment and paraphernalia essentially, theft, shoplifting, and again, compared to the last few quarters that we had, this is not dissimilar to those types of categories, usually drug-related, DUI-related, and theft-related. That's really what we see in our city, which, you know, those are all, it's always not great to see any crime, of course, but and when you look at the statistics that we have for this city, they are extremely low in terms of actual crime in this city, with the exception of driving under the influence, and a lot of that has to do, almost the majority of that has to do with the officer-initiated activity when our officers are out there being visible and being diligent for those that are driving under the influence in our city. So that continues to be a top priority here, and one of my top priorities related to traffic is the DUI arrests that our officers are involved in. Next slide. So as mentioned, the Cotati Police Department had 1 citizen complaint in Q3. It was related to investigative procedure. So the administrative finding of that complaint was deemed unfounded. So the complainant had alleged that the criminal investigation was conducted insufficient, that we had done an insufficient investigation in our due diligence in investigating an alleged crime. When in fact, looking into it, the investigation itself was completely thorough. There was just insufficient evidence to meet the elements of the crime. So that was it. And so the investigation was done thoroughly, but the information that was brought forward as alleged evidence as a crime did not meet the standard of the actual statute and was not forwarded to the DA for prosecution. So there was nothing lacking in the investigation regarding that complaint. Comparatively, as you probably remember, there were 0 complaints in Q1 and in Q2. Next slide. Again, that's just an explanation of citizen complaints and the different types of findings. And again, just to reiterate, the finding of the investigation, or excuse me, of the complaint was unfounded. Next slide. All right, moving into use of force. Again, this is the same slide that we use all the time to describe. Essentially, the use of force that we track is a lot more granular than the standard use of force guidelines. So next slide. And that jumps us into the uses of force that we had. So for Q3, it totaled 7 events with a total of 8 uses of force, tools, options being utilized within those 7 events. Again, comparatively, use of force in Q2 was 12 with a total of 17 use of force, tools, options being utilized. In Q1, totaled 9 events with 10 use of force, tools, options being utilized. You'll see that that K9 is off the board here now, since Dolly is not a use of force apprehension tool. She is just a sniffer dog, so we don't have that tool option, as you see sometimes with other agencies. They have K9 as part of their use of force continuum because they have apprehension dogs, and that's part of a use of force. Not the case with K9, with Dolly. What you'll see next time, the BOLA wrap will be off next time, since we don't employ that tool anymore because it's fairly ineffective, and so we just don't use it anymore. And we haven't used that tool, at least since I've been here. It's never been utilized. So, next slide. And that just talks about the different tool options that we have. And as I mentioned, the BOLA, I don't know if the K9 is off of there, and the BOLA wrap and the wrap are 2 different things. So the wrap will stay on there. The wrap is just a restraint device where we lay a combative subject down and they're restrained within that restraint system. Next slide. All right, we participated, as usual, in several community events in Q3, including Cotati Kids Day Parade and Festival, 9/11 Memorial, Thomas Page Academy Safety Presentation, Camp Cotati Police Department Tour, and National Night Out. And since, I'll just mention it now, since the next time I'll be presenting with you all in February of 2026 will be the annual report. I'll mention we recently participated in Thomas Page Academy Tour of the PD and the city. There was Coffee with the Cop, which is actually what that picture's from, that we did at Johnny's Java. And then our biannual beat meeting, neighborhood watch meeting as well. I'll note that meeting was not, the attendance, the turnout was low. Historically, that's been the case on these biannual beat meetings that we have. We like to invite people to come to the police department, meet our officers. I think people are just more comfortable being out at events where we get to talk to them. So we'll be looking at it going down the road if we want to continue doing these beat meetings and inviting people to the PD, or just continue to really push all our efforts to the events where, and not, when I say events, I don't necessarily mean police events like National Night Out, Coffee with a Cop. Those are great. But where we really get a lot of traction with the community is at other city events where the police departments were as many there as often as we possibly can, and that's where we really get to talk to people. And whether it's Little Plaza Park or some other event somewhere in the city, we get a lot more traction than having people come over to the PD. So at least that's been the case since I've been here. So we'll look at that going forward and see. Next slide. All right, our training. So again, I like to list all the training that we're involved in, just adding that a lot of it is related to legal updates. A lot of our training includes a de-escalation component to it, and then a lot of training related to some of the ancillary first responder types of training, first aid and medical calls that we'll end up going to help out just because we're first responders. And next slide, or I think that's actually it. Of the slides. I'll finish with a few just kind of added pieces that aren't in the slide. So as mentioned in the staff report, we continue to address a number of challenges with regards to staffing, though we're actually doing a lot better than the last time I talked to you all. Technically, we have 2 full-time peace officer vacancies and 2 full-time dispatcher vacancies. The good news is that we have one officer trainee who was hired, graduated the academy, is currently in field training. He's doing great. So when he's off of field training, he will fill one of those slots. So we currently then will have just one vacancy. And we have someone right now that's in backgrounds for that vacancy. If they pass backgrounds, then they'll end up going to an academy. Unfortunately, that academy doesn't start until April. But if he graduates that academy next year, then he'll fill that slot. That's the idea there. So, and the 2 dispatcher vacancies that we have 2 dispatcher trainees. So as soon as those dispatcher trainees are off of training, and they're scheduled to be off of training within the next few weeks at the most, then they will fill those 2 slots like that, and we'll be in good shape. So we have one potential pending retirement from a dispatcher, but we also have someone that's waiting in the wings that we brought on. And so when and if that transition happens, it'll be fairly seamless. So we're getting better at getting folks closer to the goalposts, so we don't have these lapses in time where we wait for the vacancy, then put the announcement out, then do the background, and by then there's months going by where we have a vacancy that we're holding. So the good news is that hopefully the next time that I talk to you all in February, then we'll have our dispatcher vacancies completely, we'll have our dispatchers online, and we'll only have one vacancy at the officer level. So that's a good thing. The other thing, speaking of Flock, our 2 cameras are live now, and so that's a good thing. One's on Old Red looking toward the town, and the other's on East Cotati looking into the town. So we have two of the 4 basic main access points into the city covered by Flock cameras. And as it would, we have a success story already in that we had an Autoburg person that was burglarizing cars in this area over the last week or 2, and because he was ultimately identified, it's still under investigation, so I don't want to go into too many details, but basically, because of the vehicle that he was driving, Flock picked it up. We used Flock to pick up and identify his vehicle, and so now we've identified who that person is. So we're continuing that investigation, which is a great thing. Without the cameras, we wouldn't have had that, so it's a good thing. And that is all I have in terms of the quarterly report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions from our committee members?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I just wanted to clarify something, and I want this to be on record. Kevin Patterson, city clerk, and I, in the beginning, had a lot of trouble with my email. So I just want that on record that I did not get this email, but I have no qualms about that it was being sent. Okay?
Any other questions or comments, statements from committee members?
The report?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think when you were talking about being at events and participating in the community in that way, I've found that to be very, I've responded very positively to that. I like seeing the police around in a friendly manner. And I don't, did you go to the farmer's market this summer or?
Yeah, so we didn't have any sort of, stand-up booth or anything like that, like we do at some events, but they're.
And then now there's the Christmas tree thing coming up and those kinds of things. It's really good to have you there at those events. It's very friendly.
Great, yeah, we try to always be there, and anytime, even the officers that are working the beat, if for some reason we're not formally going to some event, just like the farmer's market, they're always circulating through there and talking to folks and make their presence known. So the higher visibility is always something that we strive for with any event that happens in the city.
I have a question. In the past, we had officers on bicycles around downtown. Is that ever going to come back? That was, at the time, it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, so we haven't just really discussed that. There hasn't really been a lot of talk in that regard. Like they've been doing a lot of foot patrol up and down in downtown, and that's been effective. So we have the motorcycle that's been used in the past for the traffic unit, and we don't have that just because of staffing. We haven't been looking into that right now. But bicycle, I don't know the history and whether we've had for when we started that. When was that they were doing that? You remember?
That was
While ago. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, I don't know that we have
I-
actual like bicycles, that maybe there's one in the Conex box or something, I honestly don't know, but.
Yeah, that bicycle
Yeah,
had
is there? Yeah.
a light, red light, blue, little siren, excuse me, in summertime, but of course you had to have an officer that was wanting to do that.
Right.
And that was kind of difficult. There was a couple that were really good shape back then that got around pretty good, but I was just curious if that ever is going to come back.
And they
I'm
might get
not
outrun on those
requesting it.
e-bikes now, I don't know.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, at Candyland, we had,
Were you going to say something? Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm
I
sorry.
was just going to say, at Candyland, the police were set up on the corner of Old Red and West Sierra, and someone was fiddling on their cell phone in their car. And one of the officers hopped up from the booth there after handing candy out to kids and like waved the guy down and pulled him over on foot, basically, and pulled the car over, gave him a distracted driving ticket. So, so sometimes you don't have to chase them. You just, wave them down, and luckily the guy pulled over. It was pretty impressive, actually.
We try to improvise when we can, yeah.
I actually have a question. I don't know why it never caught my attention before, but it's in regards to the arrest for the drug paraphernalia. Now, I saw that drug paraphernalia is illegal in California, but with, the legalization of cannabis, and when an officer finds paraphernalia or equipment for it, is it a decision between, was it used for cannabis or was it
Yes.
used for more illicit hardcore drugs like?
The latter, correct, so the latter, yeah, so it's not related to, generally, not related to marijuana, it's related to like a meth pipe or a syringe
okay.
with heroin in it or something like that, that's the kind of paraphernalia we're talking about.
Got it. Yeah, I was like, with every shops popping up all around, I'm like, oh, would they get arrested for that? Or, because
Yeah,
I'm
no.
like, is that
No,
a
no,
good, using our resources just for something that's now all over the place? But
Right.
yeah, that makes sense if it's like, there's residue of meth or any other drugs or something like that.
And it's usually in conjunction with a drug arrest also, right? So they find methamphetamine in their possession, and then there's paraphernalia associated with that, like a smoking pipe or some sort of, tinfoil that's being used in a way that's a mechanism for ingesting the methamphetamine. That's usually what you see.
Thank you. Yeah, like,
Syringes are the common also as well.
oh, I see, yeah, that could definitely be dangerous too. But, yeah, it was just a question of curiosity on that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
I'd like to add something else. Go ahead, you want to go? I could wait. I ride a motorcycle, and my daily driver car is a little 2,000-pound small car, and Cotati is doing a great job of getting intoxicated drivers off the road. There's a lot of them out there, and Cotati's right on top of it, and it concerns me, and I walk my dog, and it's scary because in my experience, when someone tells you at a club you shouldn't drive and they say, no, I'm okay to drive, they truly believe that. That's the way alcohol works. They're not lying to you. They think they can climb in 4,000 pounds and go down a public roadway after the fact, and someone's laying there in the ambulance saying, I'm so sorry, but Cotati's doing a very good job on staying on top of that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we had, if you recall, we had the one officer who actually got the most DUI arrests in all of Northern California in Cotati, which is interesting. So he was a busy guy, but it speaks to the dedication to try, when you think about traffic enforcement and traffic safety, like the apex of that is drunk driving, really, and some of the, horrible effects that have happened as a result of that. So we want to make sure we stay on top of that.
It's definitely the biggest category of arrests that you make, and it's kind of shocking, but it's better to have them arrested than not. Anyway, I was going to make another comment about a community event that I participated in, which is the Historical Society
we're very lucky to have our bilingual officers, for sure. Great, thank you.
I just wanted to let you know about a business owner that said to me they had a certain threat come through the phone, and that the police drove by, but they didn't, actually, to their knowledge, investigate. And I said, well, why do you think the police wouldn't pay attention to you? She goes, well, there's no crime in Cotati. And I said, that's right. I'm going to date myself here. You live in Mayberry. We have a police department that takes care of the community. Thank you.
If there's ever an issue, just call us.
Any other questions, comments, statements from our committee members before I hand it over to any public comments?
Do we have what was it?
No, we don't have a Barney.
Oh. I don't know, I think he was in tan. I think I need to change.
All right, at this point, I'd like to open it up for a public comment. Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you, Chair Jarrett. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you would like to make a public comment. Seeing no hands, that will end public comment.
All right. And assuming no vote is needed or a motion, so we'll move on to the next. Any reports by staff?
No, Chair, thank you.
Okay, reports by committee members? No? Okay. I'll move on to topic 11, then public comments on non-action agenda items. I'd like to open it up for a public comment. Anybody on Zoom for non-action agenda items?
Thank you, Chair Jarrett. Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you'd like to make a public comment. Seeing no hands, Chair Jarrett, that will end public comment.
Okay. No public comment, then I'll bring it back to any committee members that request a response for non-action agenda items. Any of our committee members? No? All right, topic 12, information received after the agenda was posted. Secretary, has there been anything received?
Just the two written emails that were delivered by the public commenter earlier this meeting. I will make some copies of these and distribute to the committee, as well as post them to the HTML agenda tomorrow, so they are publicly viewable. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, then that concludes our meeting. We'll adjourn. All right, thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned.